All right. Good evening, hockey fans. Welcome. My name is Anand Donitan. I'm your host on Talk with Anand, CJY underscore Anand. Thanks for joining us on this beautiful evening here in Calgary. We'll talk about your Calgary Flames, we'll talk about the Calgary Wranglers, and much more. Here shortly, my guest is running a bit late, so we'll give him time to get adjusted. But in the meantime, I'll hang out with you guys, make sure everything is running smoothly. We'll answer your questions as well later on. We'll talk about the Calgary Flames, we'll talk about the Calgary Wranglers and any teams you want to talk about as well. Once again, if you're joining, welcome aboard. Mackenzie Grafton is here with us this evening so far. Welcome, Mackenzie. My guest is running a bit late. For those who are joining, you can always keep the chat running if you want to do that momentarily till my guest joins, once he's able to join. But we'll get things rolling. I don't want to keep all of you waiting. It's already 5 o'clock here in Calgary. I know dinner is coming up soon, especially for me. So we'll get things rolling, and then we'll get Mike also to join momentarily when he's ready. Um, Lots to discuss, I think. If you are a Flames fan, if you're a hockey fan, and if you are sports fan in general, because lots happened over the past few weeks and past few days. We'll talk about all that. But Del says, welcome. Hello, my friend. Welcome aboard. Thanks for joining. If you have any questions about the Flames, Calgary Wranglers, Calgary Canucks, Hitmen, anything, shoot me message. We'll answer those questions shortly. Balin is back. Balin, welcome aboard. Thanks for joining. We appreciate you hanging out this evening. And our good old friend from last season, Tuxedo, good to see you back. Welcome aboard as well as we get things rolling. Once Talk with Anand returns. It's been a while. I needed to figure out how I can multi stream again on Twitter and YouTube, and I found a way. I had to chime in a bit for Twitter Prime, and looks like my guest is here. I'll get him settled in a moment, but for the time being, um, yeah, we're talking about Calgary Flames, Calgary Wranglers, and much more. We'll answer all your questions. Looks like my guest is ready almost. Mike, thanks for joining. Thanks for being here this evening. Welcome to Wednesday. It's a Wednesday here in Calgary. How are you this afternoon? Thanks for doing this last minute. We have been planning this for many weeks here to come, but finally getting you on board. How are you, Mike, this evening?
I'm good. How you doing, buddy? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Everything is good. Hope you can hear me too.
Yes.
Uh, yes, we have been in the works for so long. I think this is our first episode back regularly on Talk with Anand. So, pleasure to have you. Lots to discuss today. And I'll open the floor to you as well for questions. But we have few questions already. We'll answer this momentarily as well. So, Mike, where do we want to start? I give you a few topics, but do you want to start with a specific topic, or should
No.
we?
Go whatever you want, buddy.
All right. Okay, we'll answer the two questions that was up on the Twitter and YouTube feed first, so that we don't leave them hanging, and
hmm
then we'll return to the topics. We'll start with goaltending of the Calgary Flames first, but we'll start with the questions, of course, first. So, questions. I hope you can see it on your screen. The
Yep.
first question is, who you think the Flames will trade for, and who will they trade?
That's a really good question. That's a really good question. I think everybody was sort of expecting to see them trade Anthony Mantha. That's not going to happen anymore. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe try to sign him again to another 1 year deal potentially. To try and rebuild his value. For next year. I do think Andrei Kuzmenko will be traded, and I think the Colorado Avalanche make all sorts of sense. Just a team that could, really use a player like that, especially on a line with Nichushkin if he, comes back and is, back to being what he was, and it doesn't, make an early exit from the playoffs again. Um, we're going to talk about goaltending a little bit later, and I do think Dan Vladar is going to be a guy that they're going to trade at a certain point this season. Beyond that, I don't really know. looking at guys like Kevin Rooney and Tyson Berry, these veteran depth guys who they have. I don't know what the trade market's going to look like for them. I don't know if there's going to be teams out there that want those players and are prepared to give up anything for them. I could see it. So we'll just have to wait and see on those guys. But definitely, I think Kuzmenko and Vladar are the two big ones to watch. And
Kuzma,
as for who they will trade for, that's a really good question because I don't really know. The guy who kind of piques my interest a bit is Morgan Frost out of Philadelphia. Just because he's a young-ish center who, doesn't really have a spot under John Tortorella there. That's a player who I think they could maybe have a look at. But I don't know what that trade necessarily looks like. I don't know if they're going to give up a pick, if they would give up a pick, or if Philadelphia would want a piece like a player. I don't know, but I could see that being a player they might go after. Just purely speculative on my part, but just a couple ideas.
So Mike talking about Vladar and Kuzmenko is being one of the year two trade candidates. I would also maybe keep an eye out for Rasmus Anderson as well,
Yeah,
just because I know he has been brought up in the trade talks recently, but of course it depends if he wants to stay in the city or not, if he wants to do it or not, or what his deal will look like. So we have kind of three players who are right in the trade block, and then the rest it depends on what they'll get for the market and if anything will work. So I think that's a good discussion, good question to start us off. Thank you, Dell, for that question. The next comes from our friend Mackenzie Grafton. Mackenzie asks, "Who is the next call up for the Calgary Flames?"
good to hear from you, Mac. I think the next guy up is Jacob Pelche, and I don't think it's going to be long. But I don't know. I mean, I still don't really know what they think of Rory Cairns, even though he's been such a prolific scorer in the early stages of this season. But I just don't know how they value him. Walker Dewar is a guy who I could see coming up if they trade, a depth forward, because he has never scored at this level in the American League before, and I could see them wanting to give him another run. But for sure, I do think it's Pelche because they've got so many defensemen. I don't think they're going to be bringing up any of their defensemen. And yeah, I think Pelche, as a sort of a 23, 24-year old, you kind of need to see what you've got in him. And I know they really like him. Even though he's had some struggles with injury, I think he's not far off from where they want him to be at this point. So I think he'll be next.
All right, Jacob Elche, and then followed by Rory Cairns if they are interested, and then followed by Walker Duher are your three possible next call ups. Maybe I could maybe see in the future also maybe a Sam Hansek, maybe a Sam Morton, maybe
Yeah,
those are also possible candidates. Even maybe talking about goaltending, which will hit soon, maybe a Devin Cooley is also possible. We'll see how that goes as well. So we'll talk about all that more. We'll answer one more question and then hit our main topics for today. Mike, the big question is, will they be bottom 10 this year?
I think they will. And yesterday's game obviously being a back-to-back, they didn't look their strongest. But their team save percentage has just been, through the roof in the early goings of the season. And I think part of that is because they have two goaltenders who are very skilled. But at the same time, you look at this team and the talent on paper, with respect to every player on the team, because they're all talented players, but compared to other teams in the league, they don't quite match up. And so I don't think the goaltending is going to continue being quite this good. And if and when it does falter a little bit, I think the wheels could really fall off, and I think they could go on a couple of long slides. Now, I think it's funny because I think they're due for a little bit more scoring. I think they're actually, because right now I think Rasmus is the only guy on the team who's on pace for more than 50 points. There are guys on this team who have had unusually slow starts, and it's been more so due to a lack of shooting percentage. Guys like Sharon Govich, guys like Kuzmenko, even Kadri a little bit, although he has just been bad recently. But Certain players on this team just aren't getting any bounces. Yegor should have 5 or 6 goals by now with the way that he's been shooting the puck. Kuzmenko has had so many chances. I mean, there are guys on this team who are going to get some more breaks, but I think that's going to be offset by the defense breaking down a little bit more. And then I think even if their numbers don't go down that much, I just think Wolf and Vladar are going to start playing, a little bit below where they're currently at. And that's really not an indictment on either one of them. I think they've both been outstanding, and I think they both are very valuable players. It's just that there's only so much you can do on a team like this that has this sort of depth chart. Now, maybe they go completely nuclear going forward and they prove me wrong, but for now, I do think they're going to finish bottom 10. I don't think they're going to finish bottom 5, but I think they're going to finish bottom 10.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because the stats we ever had, then in between this bad struggle, the slow starts, and them not having that depth scoring, I think all results to bottom 10. But we'll have to wait and see. It's still very early in the season, like 17 games in. It's too early to tell where they will end up. All right, let's hit our main topics. Keep those questions coming. Our YouTube chat is open and Twitter chat is open. Keep those questions coming. But let's quickly transition to Calgary Flames quickly, and Calgary Flames with my gold. Here we are. So, Mike, I think the one of the topics I wanted to begin with the show is the goaltending. So, Dustin Wolf, Dan Vladar, who have been two amazing goaltenders. I think they are the both who keeps Calgary Flames in close games like this. We have seen couple of games that went into overtime. I think Dan Vladar, Dustin Wolf, both of them sharing the workload has given them that chance. Do you agree with me? Your thoughts on the both the two goaltenders so far?
Yeah, Vladar has definitely exceeded my expectations. He's been pretty good, even on some tough nights, and he's looking like a player who should fetch a pretty decent return if the Flames do trade him. And it's going to be interesting to see because the goaltending market is kind of soft. With Markstrom being off the market, you're kind of looking at John Gibson as the number one guy who's available. And even then, a guy like Gibson has kind of fallen off the map a little bit in Anaheim over the last few years. He's also a lot more expensive, and I think the Ducks are going to want a lot for him. Whereas with Vladar being a pending UFA without much of a track record in comparison, I think he'll be sort of seen as a savvy bet for teams to make, especially those teams that need that little extra bit of help in net. I mean, you look at the contenders around the league; a lot of them have that. A lot of them have that goaltending situation already figured out. Winnipeg's got their Hellebuck, Tampa Bay's got their Vasilevsky, Florida's got their Bobrovsky. There aren't that many teams that are looking, but at the same time, there's not that many teams with goalies available. So I do think Vladar has been very good. I think he has recovered from his hip surgery very well. I think Wolf, I don't think it's going to be long before we see him as being one of the best goaltenders in the league. I already kind of see him close to that level. But Vladar, at a certain point, you're going to want to get Cooley some games up here because Devin Cooley has been the best goalie in the league, in the American League, with a 954 save percentage. If the season ended today, that would go down as the best save percentage in the history of the American Hockey League over a single season. Now, obviously, he has a lot more games left to play, but he's been remarkable so far. And so, when it all comes down to it, I think the ultimate scenario is going to be a Cooley Wolf tandem, and Vladar is going to find his way to a different team, and we'll just see how that all plays out, because that will leave you with an American League tandem, probably of Valtteri Ignatiev and that guy who they had last year, Connor Murphy, which it's not going to help the Wranglers quite as much as with Cooley there. But the purpose of having the Wranglers is to develop these players for the NHL, and Cooley has developed in a big way. So yeah, to put it succinctly, their goaltending is in an excellent spot, and they have three guys who right now give them a chance to win at any level. So I'm very curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, 100% Dan Vladar. Yeah, could be a trade piece coming shortly. We'll see, like you said, Mike, how that plays out. And then Dustin Wolf as well. I don't think he's going anywhere except the NHL so far. And then we have Devin Cooley as well, who has a chance to come and play for the NHL. But all depends if what the direction the Flames goes. If they can get like you said, the goaltending market, especially in the NHL, is sometimes unpredictable. It can change. It's very soft, and you may not get the return quite you're expecting for. But I think I like one of the returns, the Jacob Markstrom trade to New Jersey Devils. We got Kevin Ball in return. I think he has been greatly performing for the Flames on that. And what do you think about Kevin Ball's performance so far with the Flames?
He's been outstanding. He has genuinely been outstanding. The underlying numbers aren't quite there, not quite yet. They're not quite at the level that he displayed last year, where he was arguably one of the Devils' top performers in a lot of categories. Um, this year, he has been asked to play a lot more. He's playing, 22 minutes a night, and he has been rock steady. He has been, I think it was Ryan Pike who called him a metronome, and just so smooth. He's very good at the offensive blue line. Even I would say almost as good offensively so far this year as he has been defensively. I mean, when the puck is out there in the offensive zone and it gets cleared, Ball is so good at keeping it in. He is so good at maintaining that possession and putting good shots toward the goal. And I have been so impressed. Of course, the big asset from that deal was the first round pick. And, the Flames trading a 34-year-old goaltender for a first round pick was always extremely impressive when you consider it had been sort of a decade since a goaltender of that age was traded for any first round pick. And the fact that they got not just a first, but Kevin Ball as well. And then you compare it to Linus Ullmark, traded by Boston to Ottawa, and the Bruins got a late first round pick. They got Mark Kastelik, and they had to take on Jonas Korpisalo's contract. So, and that was for a player in Olmark who won the Vezina Trophy and who shortly thereafter signed an extension with the Senators. Jacob Markstrom isn't eligible to sign an extension with New Jersey just yet. So we don't even know if Markstrom's going to be around New Jersey beyond next season. So it's, to me, that is an outstanding deal for the Flames, just because they got so much more. Like more, it is beyond comprehension to me that the Flames got more for Markstrom than the Bruins did for Elmark. That just doesn't make any sense. In any event, Ball has been very impressive. I think of the young defensemen who they have on their roster, he's been the best so far, and that is including a guy in Braden Pahal who I also really like. Miramanov has been up and down. Jake Bean weirdly has been relegated completely the last month or about the last month. He hasn't been playing. I don't know what's up with that, but aside from that, Ball has been just so good. He looks to me like a future second pairing defenseman. For a while, and the Flames obviously need to add some more skill on the back end, and they have some skill in their system on the back end in Perek and Brustevitz and Henry Muse and Etienne Morin. But for what they have right now, Ball has been extremely impressive.
Yeah, 100% Kevin Ball being really impressive is you nailed with that point, Mike. We'll take a couple of questions so that we can give you a break in between, and then we'll next talk about special teams for the Calgary Flames. But the first question coming in, should we be worried that Zane Parek is not really off to an explosive start? I think no. I think you can still give him some time to develop, some time to still learn the skills of hockey, considering he's really young. But I think yeah, what's your take on this, Mike?
I'm not worried about it really. I think he's going to heat up. That Saginaw team is kind of weird because they've got Michael Misa, who has been producing like crazy, but almost none of their production has come from the back end. I mean, Perek is a point a game guy right now, and I think he's at 15 points in 15 games, not necessarily what you want to see from the ninth overall pick, who was well above that pace last year. You would hope for a step forward. At the same time, he's still leading Saginaw's defensemen in scoring. So I just don't know if there's been a big restructuring of their attack this year. Everything I've heard is that he's been very strong fundamentally. So I don't really know. it can be difficult to sort of gauge these young defensemen playing junior when they are so highly touted. Like it can be difficult to figure it out. Ultimately, I watch and see what Brant Clark is doing with the Kings right now, and Clark was a guy who had a bit of a couple of weird moments in his post draft trajectory too, where he was getting completely overlooked by Hockey Canada at certain points, and just unusual oddities in his development. And Perek, he's gonna have his ups and downs too. At the same time, though, he just makes things look so effortless in the same way that Clark does. And Clark is currently doing with the Kings, to the point where if Perek turns into that player, I'm still more than happy. So it's going to be really interesting. The Flames have a lot of good right-handed defenders in their system. And I feel the same way about Hunter Brustevich, who has had a bit of a tough go with the Wranglers to start things off. I was at the game over the weekend, and he was okay, but still has a lot to work on. And I think Perek is probably the same, but it's easy to forget. This guy's 18 years old. He has a 2006 birthday, and I have a lot of patience for a player like that.
Yeah, 100%. Because young players always need time to settle, to make sure they get the correct place, and give them some time and patience. Maybe he'll be good again in next couple year or so. It's always working with him. Not all player will have that magical offensive start. You would think. You definitely need to give him time and develop. And I think I saw your one of your tweets, Mike, about Hunter Brustovich when you were at the game, that he wasn't looking that good, but decent still. And obviously, that will also come with more practicing and developing within himself as well. So, Prostovic could be another candidate we could see in the NHL in the near future, hoping for the best from him as well. All right, another question before we talk about the special teams of the Calgary Flames. Do you think Pelche is out of the organization by the deadline? I think right now it's too early. I think he still can be given a shot at the NHL level. I think he he's up next in the 102 queue to get a call up, and I think he still can, with this conditioning still. Let's take Matt Coronato for example. He got in that AHL stint. He's been doing great with the Flames. I think Pelche is the one guy also who is maybe rewarded a chance, and he can be get another opportunity. Your thought, Mike?
Yeah, I feel similarly. I mean, Pelche has never been the type to me who really profiled as necessarily a top six forward, but I think he has all the qualities necessary to be a very good third line forward. And if that is, in the similar mold as a guy like Paul Byron or a number of other players, I mean, the Flames have had players like this in the past. Andrew Mangiapane kind of comes to mind. He had a big year with 35 goals, but aside from that, mostly a second, third line guy. And with Pelche, he's looking a lot more confident than he did in the preseason and at the end of last season. He has been a real catalyst with the Wranglers so far this year, and I don't really see the urgency to move him, especially considering his value around the league. I don't buy as necessarily that high with him having cleared waivers. I think his value to the Flames is higher. It reminds me of when Oliver Shillington cleared waivers 3 years ago, and then the Flames played him, and he had more value to them than to any other team in the league because he was found money. And I think Pelche is kind of the same way. I think with Pelche, when the Flames start to move guys like the Kuzmenkos and the Roonies and whoever, and they bring up guys like Pelche, I think that's where you're going to see an infusion of energy into this team. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing him back in the NHL. I think I don't see there's any way that the Flames move on from Pelche without giving him at least one more chance in the NHL. But if it comes down to it, if they play him for another 10 odd games and he's just not sticking, I could see them trying to do like a change of scenery type trade. But right now, I just don't see the urgency to do that.
Yeah, 100%. Because Pelche obviously has that energy, the enthusiasm. He shows that personality. It's just maybe him being unlucky, or maybe not being able to convert into goals. I think that's where. So maybe this AHL stint will help him, and then we'll see how that works. keep those questions coming. Tuxedo, I see your latest question as well. We'll answer them shortly, but I think I gave only Mike between 20 to 30 minutes. I want to sure we cover all the topics. But Mike, at next point of topic, our conversation was special teams. Both I haven't liked so far, both the power play and penalty kill. Have you seen the same way? And what are your thoughts on the special teams so far?
Yeah, the power play's been pretty bad. I sort of posted it the other night on Twitter, which, fun fact, I don't think I'm going to be really using very much going forward. I think I'm going to make the switch over to Blue Sky just because more and more people are going over there, and Twitter has become a little bit not my cup of tea recently. But for the power play units, I was tweeting about this the other night. I really like the idea of, a Sharon Govich, uh, Zary Coronado. I think I had Kadri maybe in there, but you could probably do Huberto or Kuzmenko as the fourth forward, and then either Uyghur or Anderson on the point. Because right now it's just it's not working. It's really not working at all. And they just need. I think they need to get a little bit more youth in there. I think Coronado has turned me into a huge believer with his play in the last couple weeks. He has been phenomenal. He's been truly outstanding. Everything that I, hoped he could become. Going back to when they first drafted him, like people might not realize this, but when the Flames drafted Coronado in 2021, like he was my number one target going into that draft year. Like I wanted him over anybody else in that range, just because he did so many things that were super projectable. And I was a little frustrated with the way that he was a little slower to adjust to the pro ranks, but in the last couple weeks, he has been outstanding. I mean, winning puck battles, using his feet, moving his feet, really quick. He's really increased his quickness, and he's playing. He reminds me a lot of Mike Camilleri when he's on. He's got that quickness, that incredible shot, and the willingness to use it. You know, he is like the two things that I really wanted him to build upon as a pro were his strength in winning puck battles because it felt like he was losing too many of them, and his quickness. And he has done both those things for my estimation. And wouldn't you look at it, he's a much better player. And the growth from 1 month ago today to today is just enormous. It is astronomical. And so I am unbelievably impressed with what I have seen from Matt Coronado. I think he deserves a permanent spot on that number one power play. I am unbelievably impressed with Connor Zary. I think he's been outstanding. I think Connor Zary looks to me like a guy who would be a perfect number three or number four forward on a really good team. Like you kind of look at it like the Flames a couple of years ago when they had Gaudreau, Kachuk, Monahan, Lindholm as their top four forwards. Those are a good top four. And that's what you need, in my opinion, to be a real good team is at least four real difference makers up front. So you can either have one stacked top line or you can have two pairs on the top two lines, like the Flames did for a while there with Gaudreau Monahan or Gaudreau Lindholm as that duo. And for me, I think Zary and Coronado could be a very good 3-4. They just need to find that 1-2. And I don't think that 1-2 is in the organization just yet. But yeah, those two deserve to play together. And I think they deserve to play together on the top power play. The penalty kill's been better. I've liked Huberto on the penalty kill. I think him playing so well defensively, and I think he has been extremely good defensively this year, has really helped him get involved in more facets of the game. I've liked the PK. The PK has been good. The power play to me has struggled.
Yeah, yeah, the PK. Yeah, I agree with you. PK and power play. We have had struggles for a couple of years now. Yeah, I want to see if they can maybe try Connor Zari in there, Mac Coronato. I think all composing of all those two players and maybe even a Sharon Govich who is already on the power play one unit. Put corners are in there as well. I think they can be a difference maker, and you absolutely nailed it. All right, we are hitting that close 30-minute mark. I think we'll get to the closing part. We'll do some Q&A at the end. So, friends, if you want to come join us, do some Q&A. We'll do that, and then I'll let you go, Mike. I think you have had a long day. I think you need some break. So let's do a quick Q&A, and then we'll.
Oh
All right.
wow, I'm big now.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. All right. So first question coming from Tuxedo again. What do you make of Jacob Battaglia? Battaglia. Sorry if I mispronounce that name. And what do you believe his ceiling is?
Battaglia has been really good. He's played on a Kingston team that's been so-so, and he has been their top offensive player, in my opinion. He's a really good shooter of the puck. I mean, in terms of a comparable, I'm kind of thinking it's kind of tough to say. There are so many interesting sort of wingers around that stature who have that goal scoring ability. It's tough, right? Like I don't know, but I do think is that there's a chance he gets invited to Team Canada's World Junior Camp. That's something that I'm very interested in seeing. That's going to be announced sort of at the beginning of December. I think Hockey Canada is going to announce it, and I think he's got a real shot at being sort of named to the camp, not necessarily the team, but um, I would even say more so than Andrew Basha for Medicine Hat. I think Battaglia's got the leg up there. I think we'll see three Flames prospects invited to camp for Canada. I think it's going to be Parekh, Moran, and Battaglia, and maybe on Battaglia, but I think he's got a shot. And yeah, I'm not really sure what to say for the comparable. I see him potentially turning into a very, very good second line winger, and if that's if he really pops. And it's tough. Like I'm just not exactly sure. Almost like sort of a light version of Brock Besser. Like he's not going to be as good as Brock Besser, I don't think. But a guy who's maybe a real consistent 25, 25. Maybe a guy like Curtis Glencross. Curtis Glencross. A multi-time 20 goal scorer for the Flames, who's got a little bit of that feistiness to him. Got a little bit of physicality, and is a decent skater and can really shoot the puck. And that's a lot what Glenn Cross was, and I think Battaglia could maybe be that sort of player.
Yeah, 100%. The recently the goals I've been seeing on the Twitter wars, and he has been a great player so far. So I think yeah, if we can fit him in that second line winger position, maybe he'll do great. But again, all these players you talked about, Mike, right now, Zane Perek, Bataglia, we have maybe a Brucevic, Sam Morton, all those players still developing, still have a lot of future ahead, and we're going to be having an exciting Flames future in the Flames team future in the near future as well. All right, going back to the chat, James Johnson is here. James, welcome aboard. Hope to have you back on a show as well like this. I'll message you and we'll get you on a show as well. And then Mike, I think we have one question. Hi Anand, long time listener, first time caller. Okay, I didn't know we are taking phone calls on this one. Do you think Kadri will be a Canuck? I think Rick Tockett likes him. Mike, your thoughts on that question? Will Kadri be a Canuck?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if the Flames are going to trade Nazem Kadri. I don't think he wants to go anywhere. But if he did, I mean, there are so many teams that would want him. Kadri plays at his best when he's under the microscope. He plays at his best when he's got something on the line. And right now in Calgary, there's not much on the line. That's just the facts. There's not a whole lot, up for debate here. This team isn't going to make the playoffs. Pretty much everybody can agree on that. They might go on some sort of miracle run, but for the most part, nobody really expects them to make the playoffs. So with Kadri, it's just a matter of, are there teams that are going to want his cap hit? Are there teams that are going to want the term on his contract? Because he's got, I think it's 4 years left after this one. That's a lot. That's a good lot for a guy with in his early 30s making $7 million. But he's a center, and everybody wants centers. There are so many teams that just don't have that center depth, and it's their biggest obstacle from being a real playoff contender. The thing with the Canucks is that they kind of have those guys already. They've got Pedersen and they've got JT Miller. Now, Pedersen's struggles notwithstanding, I don't know if Kadri necessarily is the right guy to go to a number three center spot. I think you're maybe looking at. I mean, he's never going to play in Boston, but you'd kind of be looking for a team in a similar type situation, even going back to like Colorado, maybe with Colorado's struggles down the middle. Obviously, Colorado has Casey Middlestat now behind McKinnon, but is he the guy who you want at two, or is he the guy you want at three? It's not something I think the Flames. It's something where I think there is a possibility maybe it happens in a couple of years. For now, I mean, I'm sure Rick Tocchet would love Nazem Kadri, and the funny thing is that if Vancouver ends up souring on Rick Tocchet, I think he makes a lot of sense as a future Flames coach. I mean, that's sort of a funny aspect of it where I think Rick Tocchet kind of brings a lot of the same elements that Daryl Sutter does as a head coach, but he's the kind of personality for a modern NHL head coach who, the players actually don't, maybe doesn't have quite as short a shelf life as Daryl did when he came back. So, It's not a perfect coach. Canucks fans are seeing the ups and downs of that. Fans in Arizona saw the ups and downs of that. I mean, there have been some very valid complaints about Rick Tocchet's system maybe not being the best for offense. I mean, we saw a guy like Clayton Keller go from being sort of a 40, 50 point guy in Arizona to a 70, 80 point guy immediately after he left. And I don't know how Pedersen is doing underneath. I don't know how Pedersen's doing underneath him, but I could totally see Kadri and Tocchet being a great match. It makes a lot of sense just on paper.
Yeah, and when you talked about Patterson, here is one Kadri for Patterson, one for one, says somebody on the chat. And then somebody can think of a name, says, we'll make the playoffs. Mike, that's for you.
They might.
Uh,
They might. They might. They might.
and then Tuxedo says, we need to get on in that one burner or afterburner.
I agree.
Um, then then somebody's asking, Bumbles is asking, which Patterson? Mike, I think you have a couple good fans here. I like this Mike Gull guy, whoever
Thanks.
A with a heart.
Thank you.
And then Adam is in the chat. Hi, Adam. And then was Mike Gull cooking when he said Kerfoot is greater than Domi?
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, Alex Kerfoot, I'd take him. I'd take that contract over the Max Domi contract, though. I'd say that for sure. I mean, I think Utah has struggled at points recently. I think they might need to make a coaching change at a certain point, but Alex Kerfoot, he's not a bad player. He's not a bad player at all.
And then, what are your thoughts on Flames legend Johnny Otio?
This is so funny. Yoni Ortio. I mean, we were talking about Paul Byron earlier. Yoni Ortio.
Oops, did we lose Mike?
Am I still?
Um, okay, there you're. Yeah, there you're back. Can you hear me? Oh no, we lost Mike. Chat, sorry, we lost Mike. Or is he back? Let's see. Mike, are you
Hello.
back now? Can you hear me?
Hi, I'm back.
Okay, you're back.
Hi.
Uh, all right. Moving on. My gold is greater than Steve Dangle. Um, and then Mike Gold is my favorite Flames fan. Says Major Moose. And then let's see. And then Mike Gold acknowledge my question. I can now die in peace. And
I'm here. I'm here. Everybody's saying that I'm gone. I'm here. I'm back.
and then Mike's insight is amazing. Love hearing him talk about the Flames All right, for instance, we'll keep the chat running for a couple more moments to see if there are any final questions. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us this evening. Mike, like you said, you are moving slowly onto the blue sky phase. So, where can people
Yeah,
find you? What do you do? Just tell all our new fans or new viewers about you a little bit about yourself. Your chance to maybe do a self plug about yourself.
yeah. I co-host the Afterburner show on the Nation Network. Um, Doing the show on what's today, the 13th. So I'm doing it on Friday against Nashville for that game. So it'll be a lot of fun. I forget who I'm with for that game. Might be Cami Kepke. So we got a great group of co-hosts there. Yeah, like I said, I'm sort of testing the waters on Blue Sky. Seems like a pretty good platform for the time being. So a lot of the people who I follow are moving over there. So I just like I'll give it a shot. So my username over there is just Mike Gould, MikeGould. And then yeah, that's mostly it. I work the odd hockey tournament. I do play by play. I work for the Okotoks Oilers in the BCHL. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the time being.
All right, couple more chat questions. Anand is awesome. Thanks, James.
James,
Appreciate it.
James, James, do you think I'm awesome? Like, come on, James. You're only giving the Anand. Like, I got something here. Let's see if I can find it. So I can get to it. I got something for you, James. Let's see if I
And then,
can.
Mike, whoever A heart is, you both are invited to my Christmas dinner, apparently.
Wow,
And then, what an entertaining show. And then we need to. Mike.
that's me.
Uh, and then,
See
when
if I
did
can
the
find
city
it.
of Calgary make a Twitter clone Blue Sky City? I think Blue Sky has been around a bit, Mackenzie. If you ask me, I think I've seen a couple people use it. I recently got the token for it. That's how I signed up. Very early stages. A friend of mine gave it to me, and then ever since I've been quiet. Now I might be louder again. I think Blue Sky is sort of similar to Twitter, but I think it's getting there. It's building up. Um, yeah, I'm following Mike Gould already on there. Uh, all other fans do so. Um, Anna, can you bring Dennis Weidman? I need to see how I can. Um, what would it take you to bring on Canucks Nation? Um, Good question. Send me a message. We'll see what we can do. What do you want? Oh yeah, number 70, Sharangovich.
There you go,
Wonderful.
James. It's backwards, but it should be there. That's for you. Yeah, James Johnson.
James, if you're still watching, that's for you, dedicated to you. Yeah, Ahad, just message me. I will see what I can do and how I can come on Canucks Nation. Appreciate the invite. And then Mike, a question for you, and then we will, I think, wrap it up. And then Mike, who is your favorite Canucks Twitter account and why is it Major Moose?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. Not a bad account, but there are a couple that I might have ranked a little bit higher. I'm not too sure. I might have to work on my tier list. Yeah, I'd have to do some thinking about that one.
And then final one. And then Mike, I think you did make a great addition to Canucks Nation.
Blue doesn't really suit me. I don't really like the blue and green. I like it better than the black, the skate jerseys, but I don't know. I think I like the red better. Red, white, and yellow. It's the best color combo there is.
All right, that will do it. Mike, thank you so much for coming out this evening and chatting with on a perhaps busy day. Appreciate you doing this. Final thoughts or comments you want to share to Flames fans, something to look forward to, something you're excited about as we wrap up this show. Once again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in this evening. This has been a fun episode, I would like to say. And Mike, over to you for final words.
Just want to say thanks for everybody for tuning in. You guys are all great. I mean, team affiliation aside, Oilers fans, Canucks fans, Dallas Stars fans, you guys are great. You guys are great sort of spirit, the real spirit of hockey Twitter, and it just makes it a lot more fun to watch the games and to try and do what I do. So just keep up the good posting, and shut up, Bamboozle. Goodbye, Anand and Mike. Come on.
All right. Have a great evening, everybody. Thanks for watching Talk with Anand. This is my goal. And this is me, Anand. Have a great evening. Have a great weekend. And the Flames next play the Nashville Predators on Friday. That's your next game to look at. Thanks for watching again. Have a great evening.